Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm sharing my unboxing and first look, finally, of the Samsung Galaxy Fold. And I say that because, of course, this handset originally was supposed to launch back in April of this year, was delayed because the review units that were sent out ended up basically revealing a host of engineering flaws, miscues, whatever you want to call them. And finally, Samsung addressed those issues, and we now have a retail product. Now, if you're wondering why it took me so long to get this in my hands, and I purchased this, for those of you that are wondering, it's because I had to go on a road trip. That's how limited this release is. Quiet, no pre-orders. Of course, all the old pre-orders were canceled. Some people got credits. Kudos to those of you that did. But now I finally have it in my hands, and this is very exciting. Again, even though it still retains that near $2,000 price point and all of the same hardware, we have a retail product. So with that said, you see the packaging, fairly straightforward. Again, this is AT&T. I would have preferred an unlocked version, but you got to work with what you can. And this is what I was able to get going on a road trip that I don't even want to talk about, because nobody should have to do what I did today in order to gain access to something they're going to review. So with that said, let's crack this open. And while an unlocked version for me personally would have been more ideal, the fact of the matter is that even with bloatware, nothing's fazing me about this, because you're about to see, they even changed the packaging, by the way, a handset that I think is going to change the game. And if you saw my preview, then you already know that that's what I think of this phone. On the other hand, there are a lot of skeptics out there that believe this isn't the next step in mobile. They think the price is too high, and I understand all of that. And the first thing you're greeted by is Samsung's big fat warning. And there's a reason. It's because a lot of those engineering issues, they were able to address them. The screen protection, the hinge, people were peeling off the coating of the plastic screen because there's no glass here. So right out of the gate, you can see they're telling us, do not press the screen with a hard or sharp object. In fact, don't even use your nail, okay? When folding the device, do not place any objects such as cards, coins, or keys on the screen. The device is not water or dust resistant. Do not expose to liquids or small particles. Do not attach any adhesive such as films or stickers, aka screen protectors, to the main screen, or remove the top protective layer, something a lot of you naughty reviewers were doing. But I thank you for that, because God knows what the public would have done. And your device contains magnets. Keep a safe distance between your device and objects that may be affected by magnets such as credit cards and implantable medical devices. If you have an implantable medical device, consult your physician before use. First time we've ever had to say that, even though all smartphones are little radiation magnets that possibly are giving all of us cancer. All of that aside, you see the warnings. I've seen the warnings. Let's see the device. Dun, 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 dun. I would say cue the music, but I'm not overlaying this with music. This thing is just wow, wow, wee, wow. I mean, really, feels very sturdy, solid in the hand. Don't worry, I'm going to remove the plastic. I'm going to. But I'm just in awe of the fact that what I'm looking at here is a foldable phone. And the beginning of what I think is the end of a design that has been, just done over and over and over again, to the point where all phones look the same for a reason at this point. And that's because there's been no innovation when it comes to actual design until now. So I'm going to try to power this up. And by the way, right now, my daily driver is the Note 10 Plus. So I will be comparing it. There's the 7.3-inch Super AMOLED display, which actually has a lower resolution than my Note 10 Plus. But my Note 10 Plus cannot do this. 4.6-inch display on the front. AT&T bloatware, of course. This is the silver version, for those of you that are wondering. You've got the same camera system that you will find in the S10 and Note 10 lineup, so that's a good thing, but you've got more of them. because you need more of them. And then you have software that has been tailored to this handset having a foldable display. Now already I can tell you from the weight, the complaints I've heard about the weight of this, I hate it when people say like hit the gym, but those complaints are ridiculous because what you're holding, what I'm holding right now, is the best of both worlds. And I promised myself I wouldn't fall in love with this, okay? I did. And I really hope I don't. But if you're like me, this is what it's all about. And as I was mentioning earlier, reviewers who think that this product is too expensive for what it is, I don't think they remember back to not that long ago when phones, were, how much were they? 500. And when Apple started pushing prices towards 1,000, they basically said, I'm not going to pay $1,000 for a phone. And now where are we? Flagships are all $1,000 or more. So to me, this is probably the first phone in years. Look at that, AT&T didn't give me a SIM card. Why am I not surprised? This is the first phone in years that I'm looking at where I don't know what the margins are in terms of how much it costs Samsung in R&D and development and also the debacle of having to prevent the launch. But I know that they, even with the lofty nearly $2,000 price, they absolutely are not gouging us the way Apple and Samsung traditionally do each year. And for those of you that are interested in the Chinese variants that are going to come out later on, I get it. It's good to have competition. But remember, they're not going to be from Samsung. And Samsung and Apple share the same space. So unfold the future, meet your Galaxy Fold, a little bit of paperwork. They're telling you about meeting it. Let's personalize this. Now, this is another component of how they've changed things up. They have Premier Concierge Service for the Fold, which makes a lot of sense. 24 hours. They got to be worried that people may still break them. You also get a screen replacement offer for $149 plus taxes. So if you break it, you can buy a new one. Now, I have no idea what it costs outside of taking advantage of this promotion. Remember, this promotion ends December 31st, 2019. So if you're not an early adopter, you'll be spending more money. But if you have insurance, I guess you'll be okay. I'm not a big fan of phone insurance. I tend not to break them, even though this one requires extra care. And that's pretty much it there. And then also, we have some more paperwork, I'm assuming is in here. There's the AT&T SIM, I'm assuming. I'm going to put that aside. And it makes sense that it's in the box, but if you follow my channel, you know I never buy phones from carriers. It's against my religion. And then inside here, it appears we have the included case. And they're smart that they did this, although I wish that they could have made something even more bold in terms of protection. We have our SIM key right there. I'm going to try to remove this entire case so it's in pieces. And I believe this is made of the exact same aramid that we see a lot of cases being made of now. Some paperwork here from AT&T I am not going to share with you. And then the included Samsung earbuds, which retail for over 100 US. And of course, because this handset has power sharing, you can wirelessly charge these earbuds with your phone, which is not unique to the Fold. You can do that with any of the S10, Note 10 products. But a nice added bonus. Could they have done more? Sure. Do they need to? No, because I did not come to this show for earbuds. But part of the reason that they throw these earbuds in is that we no longer have a headphone jack. Not that this phone ever existed, it didn't, but there is no headphone jack, and so that is one of the reasons. We have a USB Type-C cable here. This phone is capable of Quick Charge 2.0. Could they have taken it to another level? Sure, they did not. And I have no complaints about that. Again, the innovation here is all that I care about. I'll drop this back in. And what do we have in here? Opening all the little cases. So earbud replacements, the actual fittings for your ear. Pop that back in if I can. And I mean, this is, I review a lot of stuff. Anyone that follows my channel, I'm having problems putting that back in. You already know that. But there are very few items that get me as excited as this, because a smartphone is something you use every single day. And to now have something that changes the way we actually work with our smartphones is a big deal. So a Type A to Type C connector if you need it. Samsung includes this with all their phones, and the charging brick. Let's take a look at the phone a little bit more, because after all, that's what this video is all about. And look, the crease is visible, but as soon as you power it on, the crease is invisible. So while on video, a lot of people see that crease and they go, oh my God, like what's going on? I don't want to send diagnostics. What do I look like? I have to say that it's fairly amazing to be looking at this, and I can't tell that there is a crease or a seam or anything like that. Again, I have to remember to be careful with it, which I will. I'm going to go ahead and log on to Wi-Fi. This is the keyboard, by the way, in case you've never seen it, that Samsung introduced specifically for this phone. And already, oh man, don't fall in love, Ed. Don't fall in love, Ed. I'll repeat it over and over again. The Note 10 Plus is a great phone. So I don't need this in any way, shape, or form. I really don't. But this was what I wanted. I didn't want a Note 10 Plus. The delay forced me to say, I'll get a Note 10 Plus, a Galaxy Tab S6, and it'll all cost less than this device that tries to replace both of them in one shot. We're going to skip logging into Google. Skip. And so far, I'm liking what I see. And I don't ever use my nail. Now, that doesn't mean that having to be extra careful doesn't concern me. It does. But it doesn't really concern me that much, because I do baby my handsets to begin with. So I've seen videos of people basically pretending this is a baby, and I think they're ridiculous. In fact, I think that they're likely fanboys of another product and not of products that are revolutionary. Because this isn't about being a Samsung fan. This is about being a fan of technology. This is about caring about innovation. Samsung did not have to make this phone. No, they did not. Furthermore, the complaints about the size of the front screen, I'm with you, but we never had a product like this. So I'm also not with you. So let's see here. Just lost it. We're going to skip that. We're going to exit that and skip this for now. All the stuff. They're going to recommend some apps. And now the video is running long enough that I'm going to talk about specs, because when I compare this to my Note 10 Plus, on paper, my Note 10 Plus is actually superior. But of course, in form and capability of what this thing represents, my Note 10 Plus is inferior. So that's a big deal. You get a little demo here. They're showing how it works. The hinge rated at 200,000 open and closings, foldings. That is, I believe I read an average of, it's either 100 times a day or, 100 times a day over 5 years. So that's the longevity they're rating this for. You can multitask on this. Of course, you've got this big display. It would be stupid not to be able to open up 3 windows at once. And there we have it. This is more reflective than anything because, of course, we're working with that black background, the butterfly. And yes, there have been reports that already an editor at TechCrunch made a lot of headlines with a defect in his AMOLED that's right on the bend, on the fold, which you can feel, by the way, physically. You can feel it. But do I think that that's a reason to wonder if they're all defective? No. And really what they worked on, again, was that hinge. Now, no micro SD card slot for storage expansion. As I mentioned, no headphone jack. You have your Type-C jack right there for charging. Speakers, from what I've heard, and I'm not trying to be funny, are very good on the device, and I expected that. Fingerprint scanner, power button, volume rocker, they're all here. The only thing this is really missing that I wish it had is an S Pen. And hopefully, next generation, we're going to get an S Pen. That would really make this a killer product. And it already is a killer product based on what I'm seeing right here. I'm going to play with it for a bit, get back to all of you, give you an update. But again, just so you can see form factor, I'm going to bring out the Note 10 Plus, put it side by side, and there you have it. And the Note 10 Plus is a great handset. Identical specs, except here I don't have 512 gigs of storage. I have 256, but I do have a micro SD card slot for storage expansion. They both have 12 gigs of RAM. There are more cameras here on the Fold, but there need to be more cameras. Battery is comparable. Cameras are basically identical. 12 gigs of RAM, did I say that already? I'm just still overwhelmed by the fact that I've got a foldable phone in my hands here. And this was supposed to be just an unboxing, but of course more. And right now, before I put it away, and I'm going to be careful folding this. I'm not sure what the desired folding way of doing it is. There we go. I'm going to go over the specs, and I've got a 57% charge. And there are 2 batteries in there, so bear that in mind. The Fold is already, in my opinion, beyond cool. I mean, this is the next gen. And again, you can wait for Chinese manufacturers to compete with this. They're on the way, but I don't think that their products will be as functional as what you have here. And that's in large part because Samsung is behind it. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, Samsung shares a coveted space with Apple, which is the top. Now, in terms of specs, something I could have done at the very beginning, this screen that we have right here, again, is a 4.6-inch display, Super AMOLED, 720 by 1680. It's a 21 by 9 aspect ratio. The interior display is actually a lower resolution than my Note 10 Plus. It's 7.3 inches, 1536 by 2152. It comes with Android Pie out of the box, a Snapdragon 855, just like the Note 10 and 10 Plus. You also have an Adreno 640 GPU. I mentioned the 512 gigs of internal storage, not expandable, 12 gigs of RAM. Cameras, triple. You have a 12 megapixel wide angle. Okay, then you have a 12 megapixel telephoto. Then you have a 16 megapixel ultra wide. And of course, you also have the internal, the selfie cameras that are in the open position in that lip in the upper right corner. 4K at 60p, not an issue. All the different cameras, the self-facing one, have different capture rates than the back cameras, of course. The selfie cameras, you're looking at 10 megapixels and 8 megapixels, 10 in the wide, 26 in the faster 8 megapixel, it's 24 millimeter equivalent. And the front camera here is a 10 megapixel, 26 millimeter equivalent. And it is capable of 2160 at 30 frames per second. So I take back what I originally said. Other things to know, basically Wi-Fi everything as you would imagine, Bluetooth 5.0. Of course, we have, as I mentioned, a Type-C connection with Quick Charging 2.0. We have the wireless charging capability, so it can actually charge other devices. And the battery is rated at 4,380 milliamp hours. So I expect solid battery life out of this. Of course, it's going to depend how long you keep the phone open, but that pretty much rounds it out. A long unboxing, but if there ever were a device that deserved it, it's got to be this. And it's a beautiful piece of hardware. It's already a little bit hot, oddly enough. But again, I'm going to test it, get back to you. That's what I plan to do. This way I can give you true impressions, not just, the fact that I'm in awe of this thing right now, because it's definitely some next level stuff. And as I mentioned, a lot of bloatware on here. That's an issue because of AT&T. You can purchase this unlocked, so that's something to keep in mind. And there you can see the camera enabled. I can, of course, go ahead and swap that around to the selfie camera that's up there. You can see the camera recording, a little bit of my hair over there. And it's just, it's a new day, new dawn of equipment. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll come back to you with more, I promise, because I am excited. Look at that blackout. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.